Canon very recently updated their point-and-shoot camera line, the G5X Mark II and the G7X Mark III. Let's get them out of these boxes. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I'm very excited. I love point-and-shoot cameras. Over here is the RX100 Mark V, which is one of my favorite cameras of all time. So when Canon said that they were gonna start putting out more 4K cameras, of course I'm gonna love it. Before we do open these up, I'd like to thank my friends over at B&H Photo for loaning me these two cameras to make this series of videos on. Now these are production models, so this is what you would get if you bought one. So let's do lower number first. So let's start with the G5X Mark II. Now I've never actually used a G5X of any kind. I have used the G7X Mark II before, and it's an okay point and shoot. Again, I personally own the RX100 Mark V, which is a couple years old, but it's one of the best bang for the buck cameras that you're gonna find. Okay, we've got all of the books, register in Canada only. I guess we don't wanna register here in the good old US of A. Oh, here we go. Limited warranty, G7X Mark II, gotta have that literature. Now, one of the benefits of having a point and shoot camera, right, is that you don't need a lot to get it to work. So these boxes are small and don't have much. I mean, would I like a lot more gizmos? I would always like more gizmos, but at least they give you, look at that, a battery charger. Like even expensive Sony cameras do not give you a battery charger. And here on a cheap point and shoot, they get cheap. And here on a point and shoot, they give you, yes. Now I've never actually used the G5 line of cameras. I don't exactly know what it's for, but we're gonna find out. So it's got a little wrist strap. How many of you guys use the wrist straps that come with your cameras? Leave a comment below. I wanna know. I'm always curious because I literally have never used a wrist strap in my life. Okay, we've got the battery. Come on, come on. I guarantee there's no charge in this. We've got the 1250 milliamp hour battery. Looks like a pretty standard affair. Looks pretty nice, we'll be ready for that. And then, is that everything? Canon, I will say, I like your cameras, but you have like, your packaging is some of the worst. Like even the EOS R, which is a camera that I very much like, the packaging just stinks. So here is the G5X Mark II. Now that is, okay, that is a nice, that camera feels awesome. It's got a very nice, like, clickable aperture ring here. What do we got? We got the flip-up screen. Of course we need the flip-up screen. How am I going to be able to review and see and make sure that my footage is good without the flip-up screen? It's got a tripod mount on the bottom, the battery and SD card. Now, one of the things that I'm excited to try out on the G7X is the G7X Mark III now has a audio in jack, which is so awesome. The G5X does not, but everything feels pretty good. I do like on Canon's point shoots, they have the dual little dial here to try to make up for space. You got a rotating dial on the back. It looks like, is that a Bluetooth? There's some kind of sensor like right here on the back next to the screen. Ooh, you've got a viewfinder. That's pretty nice. I don't think the G7X has that. So if you want the viewfinder, you got to go with the G5X and the pop-up flash. Okay, that feels pretty, yeah, I like, that is a good feeling camera. I like that it does, I rarely use viewfinders, but if it's something that, if you're in bright sunlight and you can't see the screen, well then yeah, you need a viewfinder. So let's set this down. So the G7X Mark III. Oh, I'm sorry, G5X. It's your 5 minutes of unboxing are over. Okay. Now the G7X Mark II is the one that's the closest aligned to the RX100 series of cameras. So it's the one that I'm pretty excited about. Now we've got more literature. Register your Canon. Now register you. Okay. I guess I could have looked at both sides of the instruction books. Let's not confuse the instruction booklets. Okay, and here we also have the battery charger. Again, I'm gonna be very happy that it does come with a battery charger. Safety note. Again, don't plug this in to an electrical outlet that it's not designed for. You don't want to get electrocuted. That's some dad advice. Let's see what else they did not give us, because again, Canon pretty stingy on the old accessories. We got the battery. They do use the same battery, right? So this is a 1250 milliamp hour battery. They are the same NB13L battery. And ooh, this one does not. Oh, it does come with a wrist strap. Okay. Crisis averted, everybody. We have the second wrist strap. You hear that? We have the second wrist strap. Who uses them? Okay, now we're at the G7X. Mark II. Now, if I were to buy one of these, this would be the one that I would more than likely buy. It also has a very nice aperture ring. It feels good. Like, that is a good feeling point shoot. One of the problems with point shoots, right, is they're so small, it's hard to comfortably hold them. But this has a really nice grip on it, where if you're gonna be, yeah, it doesn't have a viewfinder, where if you're gonna be like holding it, it's so much nicer to hold that. It does have the microphone in jack. Look at that. That is glorious. The RX100 Mark VII should also have one of those. I'm so happy that we finally have the ability to use good microphones on point and shoots. Now, it doesn't have a hot shoe mount, as you can see here, so where are we gonna put the microphone? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But again, it's got the dual dial on top. I'm a big fan of that. It's got the rotating dial on the back. It's got the record button. It does not have the same little, here, let's compare the two. It does not have the same necessarily, it has a similar body design, but it's not the same. I do think I like the grip on the G5X more than I like the grip on the G7X. The G7X does seem to be a little bit smaller of a camera, but they have very similar, I mean, it's almost the same. Okay, we've seen what comes in the box. We're gonna pause, we're gonna charge up the batteries, then we're gonna give these both a shot to see. I'm very excited about that mic jack. That's the thing that I'm most excited about. So we're gonna pause, we're gonna charge up the batteries, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, I gave them like 10 minutes to charge, because again, I'm just super excited. I even grabbed an SD card, because I always forget the SD card. So let's start off with the G5X Mark II and see what its menu system looks like. I mean, it's probably going to be very similar to all other Canon menu systems, but okay, cancel. Let's see what we got. What is that? That might be like a sensor for the eyepiece when it's up. Let's see if that is the case. Yep, so that's the, okay, so like another camera, like all cameras these days have like these little sensors, so when you put the camera up to your eye, it stops the screen. So that's what that's for. That's pretty cool. That's an elegant little solution for that. So is it fully touchscreen? It is touchscreen. Does it do 4K? Oh, it does 4K without a crop. Do you see that? That's the first time. I think this is the absolute first Canon camera that I have ever seen do 4K without a crop. That is insane. Okay, so what are our record rates? Now, that's disappointing. There's not a single 24. I don't shoot in 24, but I know there's plenty of people out there that do, and that's disappointing to not see a single 24. You've got HD at 60, full HD at 60, full HD at 30, or 4K at 30. Now, this would work for me. I only use 4K 30, so that would be awesome. What do we got? High frame rate enabled, and you've got 1080p 20. That's better than the EOS R. The EOS R does 720p at 120 frames per second. So that is awesome, but you lose autofocus, dynamic IS. Okay, that stinks. But it's cool that you got it. So let's disable that. What else do we have in these menu systems? Wind filter, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, ND filter. This does have a built-in ND filter, which is incredible. I love cameras that have built-in ND because you just never know. Can you turn it on from here? ND on. Oh, I love it. I can't wait till we go outside to try this stuff out. I cannot wait. Everything else feels really good about the camera. So okay, we'll turn you off, set you to the side, and now to the one that, I mean, if we're being honest, the G7X is the main attraction in my book. The G5X is just kind of like a thing to also try out, and we will make videos about both. Don't worry. But the G7 with its audio adapter is the one that I am most excited about. So let's see, does it also have... It's got 4K, also without a crop. That is so good. Now, what I think they've done, I can't prove this, and I don't know specifically what sensor's in here, but with the abilities of this camera, it seems an awful lot like they got the sensor from the RX100 Mark IV and put it in here, but we'll see. I mean, it is like the RX100 Mark VII now, but... Okay, it's also got an ND. I love ND. Autofocus. Now, what I'm disappointed about the most in these two cameras is... Canon's known for a few things, but the big one when it comes to video is dual pixel autofocus. Neither of these cameras have dual pixel autofocus. And if you remember my G7X Mark II video, the thing that I didn't like was how spotty the autofocus was. And very, very disappointed. But let's set you into manual movie exposure. ISO auto. Heck no. Heck no. We'll put you in ISO 640. You're at f1. There we go. let's change. Oh, now we got to change everything back up. Okay. Okay, there we go. We now are on the Canon G5X. So I've got it, you saw me, I've got it set to 4K. It's at 1/60th. We're at 4K 30, so we've got the shutter speed at 60, we're at f1.8, and we're at ISO 320. Now the audio you're hearing, this does not have a microphone in jack, so we are still going through the GH5 over here, but this is the image quality, and from the screen here, it looks incredible. The problem I have when you come to like 1-inch censored cameras is generally, unless it's one of these point and shoots, it is 2.8 at the wide, but being able to have 1.8 at the wide should be giving us some very clean images, and I do really like Canon skin tones. Now, would I like C-Log? Absolutely, but if we can't have it, this is pretty good. So this is the indoor image quality of the G5X in 4K 30 frames per second in the exact same studio lighting that the GH5 is currently recording on. So that's the G5X. So let's pop my spare SD card over to the G7X and see how it looks, especially when we've got it plugged into a lavalier mic, because we're gonna check some audio before we head outside. And hit record, we are again in. Okay, and we are now on the G7X Mark III. It's crazy to think that we're already in Mark III territory. But again, this is 4K 30. This is 1/60th shutter speed because we're at 30 frames per second. We're at f1.8 and we're at ISO 400 in 4K. And this is the audio that you're getting out of the G7X Mark III with the Boya lavalier mic with the audio turned all the way down inside of the camera, which is generally how, you know, with a quick setup turnaround time, that's what I normally do, just turn it all the way down to be safe and let the microphone do the heavy lifting. But yeah, it's the same lighting, just like the G5X. I can see the autofocus around my face. I'm curious to see, like on both cameras, how well is the autofocus holding up. But what I really want to do before it's getting ready to get dark outside, because I had to start a little bit later today, I want to hop outside and see how the video quality looks outside as a quick initial impressions thing. So we'll see you out there. I'm just so stoked. I am so excited about these two cameras. Okay, I'll see you outside. Okay, welcome to the outdoor quick vlogging test, initial impressions of the G7X Mark III and the G5X Mark II. So we've got this, it's the same setup that you just saw a minute ago. I was just too excited, I ran right outside with the camera. So let's turn on the ND, because ND is on. We've got everything else set up. Again, we will be recording audio through both the main camera here and the G7X Mark III, which is still crazy to say. Oh, and a neat little feature that I just realized is it has a record button. Maybe the G7X Mark II had this, but I don't remember. It's got a record button on the touchscreen. That's pretty darn useful. Like, that's a neat function. I like that, Canon. I'll give you credit on that. Okay, let's see what we got here. So this is the G7X Mark III with the audio being recorded with the G7X Mark III and the other camera as a backup. But yeah, it's so light. I do have the stabilization turned on. It should have the electronic image stabilization I think that Canon has and the IS stabilization built into the lens. So the two stabilizations together should be giving some pretty awesome results right now. And it is so light. Oh, I love point and shoot cameras. We need to do more point and shoot cameras here on the channel. Look how small this thing is. This thing is very, very small. It's easy to whip around. Just make sure that you get what you need out of your shots. This, we'll have to figure out a fix for this. Maybe get a shorter lavalier mic, but I really like this. I'm very excited. We're in 4K. I'm excited to see how this works out, how the audio's sounding, how the stabilization looks, because from this screen right here, it looks darn impressive. Okay, so this has been the G7X Mark III. Now we're gonna try the G5X Mark II. I love trying out new cameras. I love it. It just makes me happy. Okay, G5X. Okay, so this is the G5X Mark II. Same settings, 4K, 30 frames per second, 1.8, 400 ISO, stabilization, everything else, except the audio is being recorded with the camera set to auto. It does not have a plug-in mic port, so this is just the audio being recorded on the camera's internal microphones. But again, it's super lightweight. I like how easy these things are to just move. It is a little bit later. I should probably bump the ISO or put it in auto or something like that, but we'll see. I'm impressed with Canon's point and shoots. I really wish that they had dual pixel autofocus. I mean, Sony's point and shoots do get their phase detection autofocus, which is something that Sony's famous for. But yeah, this one is also nice and light.
Oh, normally when I make these videos, it's like, oh, my shoulder. I can hold it for just long enough so that you can see how the footage looks, and then my shoulder falls off. Okay, so which ones, you guys know how that looks. I've got to go review it, but let me know in the comments, what kind of videos would you like to see about the G7X Mark III and the G5X Mark II? Super excited to try these out and show them to you. Thanks for watching.